and see how this is such a reticulated complex that there are points of duress that can be applied anywhere. Now we're going to use some of his own body parts against him as extra buttressed levers and screws. We're going to start with his own ankles. One defense is for him to push with his opposite foot. Let me take his foot out. To try and pull his foot out. As he's pushing, you can pop directly underneath. Now, all you do is scoop and use his own tibia against the Achilles on the opposite side. You can switch and now do a medial rotation, or use your neck to rotate, counter-rotate, to cause not just Achilles on the top, but the lateral hyperrotation on the knee, downward. You can switch, and eventually we're going to start coming up towards the knee, but you can switch. And now do your motion that we worked on with buttressing reverse. Now switch. Again. Again. As long as he's defending himself, pull that leg out again, we can continue to wrap. Now, both legs, hyperextending the feet, but you can wrap as he comes inward, and this is the one point that I wanted to mention. This can escape inward. As it does escape inward, it comes up towards the knee. Now his knee is susceptible to hyperextension, but also it can be rotated now. And that's going to be important for continuing forward and doing more and more sinew separations. Launch and open, now we have hyperfunction. Now we can do, well, we're going to get into knee work in just a second. I'm getting excited, but roll back over. We'll come back to here. Start with this leg. As he's defending, push. As he's pushing, you're popping through. Now, his hip released him, but look, you don't fight for a technique. It's accept what he gives you. So here, you separate. Now you roll over. Now you can switch and put him in an immobilized position to continue forward. If you need to disengage and cause dysfunction, you can rupture the knee as you disengage, or you can stand up and work, just monitoring his position. If he continues, then you can come back and start to work his respiration. But the important part, go back over, in this is this double foot defense. He's working one direction, you pop, and move the other. I'm sorry, hyperfunction. Dysfunction afterwards. We're going to begin with understanding the hyperextension of the knee very much. And the first is, now it seems like it's impacting on the patellofemoral joint. That does have a translatory slide. But what we're doing is we're bringing this in and down in a circle to confirm against his hips. Watch his sliding motion. It brings him forward. So this is actually a hyperfunctional movement to cause movement forward. Now, here's an example of active insufficiency. As his hip flexed, his knee flexed, which could bring us down even further. Okay. But it's important to see the implications of this hyperextension is initially dysfunctional because the knee is designed to protect against it. As it's turned medially, and keep your knee locked for now, there's still access to the tendinous connections of these muscle groups. Here is still the tendon. It will run all the way up and down the leg. It's on the opposite side as well. You see this big, right there. I'm not applying force yet. Now I can begin. We can hyperextend this as a sinew separation, meaning, push this out of the way. If we separate the joint upwards, now we can come across. There's this shearing force, valgus and varus, inside and outside, up and out, there. This is different than hyperextension. In hyperextension, he's in a closed pack position. So he's in his strongest point, answering an effort battle of trying to gain superior leverage to overwhelm his muscular force. However, what is the most frequent defense against a knee hyperextension? He tries to rotate. As he rotates, oh yeah, there. Now, this pressure rising laterally. This sinew separation will blow the knee completely. Right now, this medial, where is his foot? Where's his body? Yeah. Medial collateral ligament is the one who's under pressure. There, there, there. Intermittent pressure. If he rotates the opposite direction, knees locked, the pressure is lateral collateral. So when we're here, there. Now this is actually more susceptible, and we discussed this in the leg architecture. Here, you see that play? It's because the ligament, capsule, and meniscus are loose. Now we can apply more and more pressure. We can use this to cause function to make him move into other positions. What? What? Okay. Now, when we understand where to move the knee, we can cause hyperfunction or dysfunction. There are other positions. I want to give Mike a break. Come here for a second and turn around. No, lay down on your stomach, please. Yeah. Now, we did this hyperextension. Now we're going to do hyperflexion. As he flexes, now we said this before, when he flexes inside with his knees together, there's this medial drift. When his legs are apart, there's a lateral drift. It's because of that whole lumbar pelvic rhythm we talked about, the recruitment of superior joints. Superior not being more important, superior being more proximal. So if we apply a lever, there's going to be a shearing force that'll separate in a hyperflex. Now, as we turn it, I'm sorry, not a shearing force, but a tensile force separating the knee. As we turn, now you've added a rotation. So now that torsion is what's going to work on the knee, whether inside, when together, here's an example. Inside, this pressure, oh, I've added in the foot, sorry, there on the knee, or outside, can you spin? Just stay there, I'll just switch legs. Outside, here. Now the reason that I'm back here, spin that way, is I'm blocking the medial drift of his thigh so that it doesn't relieve the pressure here. Now we can do this understanding that, turn over, we can rotate the heel to bring us to the knee. Sinew separation is lift and separate, not just the joint lock, the dysfunctional joint lock. A hyperfunctional sinew separation, oh, there. There's fluid content now in the knee. We can start to work. Now, you can get extreme amounts of torque on this knee as you start to manipulate it and understanding where the torsion is generated initially. Get that crack on camera. Okay, now once again, what we've been working on, turn this way, working on is we move from here in and push across. we're starting to do multiple manipulations to cause hyperfunction. Switching joints depending upon where his bodily position is. So that as he moves, you move with his tension. Each time Sean was moving here, I'm trying to go with him, not trying to force something on him. It looks painful, but it's not force on my part. Understanding how to create this torsion on the knee. We can feed up the leg. Now, watch. As you bring this in two different directions, okay, you're causing torsion in such a wide range that it's starting to access the hip. We're gonna, let's see if I get over here. There we go. Now you can destroy the hip if you block it here, but you can pack it in a little further. Now remember how we talked about if you drive force in this position, you can blast the femur out of the acetabulum? It's because it's in a structurally weak position. So you can move inside. This is hyperfunction. Hyperfunction. Now, just through lever that way and lever forward, you can pass it across. Now you can start to work here. This will allow you to monitor the environment, or if you have to disengage him, right out. From Grappler's Toolbox, go back and get that. But the most important part is understanding that this hyperfunction downwards is just as effective. Right now he's in an immobilized position. It doesn't hurt him yet. We have to add, oh, thank you. Now you bring this across and over. And you can start to work. I'm moving the hip, but look what it is. It's the knee. This hyperfunction is pressure on the knee. There we go. And rotate. The basic movements